Greetings, everyone. This is Nicole of Awaken the Magic Within, your Herbal Witch. And I wanted to do a quick video about essential tools that the Herbal Witch and or the Kitchen Witch and or the Green Witch would need to practice their practice. So I identify myself as an herbal witch. I study herbalism. I use herbs in most of my practice. I haven't started growing anything, but I will be growing beginning this spring and summer. I make herbal, everything that I do outside of just standard candle magic is herbal magic. I do plant walks with my children. I love plants. I love herbs. I identify with that. I identify with just the energy of the plant. I identify with it as of medicine. I just identify it with it so deeply. So that is just the path that I take. But again, there are so many pathways that you can use in your practice. But this is specifically for people who are interested in pursuing a green, herbal, or kitchen practice. So there are a few things. Let me give you a disclaimer. As a witch, there aren't things that you actually need to practice your craft. However, there are tools that will be essential in enhancing your craft, and these are the tools that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm not saying that you need to have candles. I'm not saying that you need. This is not one of those. This is the essential tools needed to practice a specific witchcraft modality. The three that I've mentioned. So without further ado, here we go. So the first thing that I recommend if you are going to be a garden witch, if you're going to be a kitchen witch, if you're going to be an herbal witch, is to get you a really good mortar and pestle. Because you're going to be grinding herbs, because you're going to be planting herbs if you're a green witch, and harvesting your own herbs. And even in the kitchen, when you're cooking, you're going to want to grind up certain herbs and barks and woods and things like that. So you want to have a really good mortar and pestle. I have I want to say it's white marble one, and I got that from Mountain Rose Herbs. It was less than 15 bucks, and they shipped it right to me, and that's the one that I use. So I highly recommend getting a very, very good mortar and pestle. Another tool that I recommend in any of those modalities are jars, storage, anything that you can store items in, your herbs, your canned foods, your things that you've harvested from your garden. You want to be able to have a place for them to go. So you want to have jars of all sizes, all shapes, all ounces. Reuse, recycle, upcycle. Keep your spaghetti jars, keep your jelly jars if they're glass, keep your applesauce jars if they're glass. I have so many jars of spaghetti and so many jars of applesauce that I've kept, and it has saved me a lot of money. I haven't had to go and purchase jars. So if you have jars, save them. I save the little yogurt jars. I don't even eat yogurt, but my coworkers eat yogurt, and they know that I save the jars. So every time they eat yogurt, they clean out the jars and bring them all to me, and I make candles out of those. So keep all of your jars, and you're going to need a lot of jars with tops. You're going to need jars that don't have tops if you want to just quickly mix up a few herbs. I highly recommend having a lot of jars. Another essential tool that you'll want to have is knives. You'll want to have very good cutlery, very good items for you to harvest your herbs, but also for you to cut your herbs when you're in the house, when you're sifting, when you are ready to perform different rituals, or even when you're cooking. You want to have good sturdy knives. I don't have an example of it, but if you go to Target, I want to say they have like a little cutting block of knives, and they come with a knife sharpener. So I recommend having your own magical tools of knives that are separate from the utensils that you use to cook. If you can't do that right now, don't even sweat it. Use what you got. But yeah, you'll want to invest in some really good utensils for your practice. You'll also want to invest in cutting boards, mainly because you don't want to use the same cutting board that you use for your magical workings. And again, if you cannot, don't stress, use what you have. But if you can, you want to be able to kind of differentiate between what you use for your mundane, what you use for your magical. So have a few cutting boards so that you can cut up your herbs, you can cut up your food, you can get everything together, and you can prepare everything for your rituals and for your meals. what else do you need? What else do you need in this modality? And I didn't want to focus on all of the menial things, the things that you'll end up getting eventually, like your little sachets and felt and string and things for certain rituals that you're going to be doing. I wanted to focus on the big things that you'll need. You'll also need different pots and pans and things that you're going to use that's going to cook in and for your magical rituals. Like I said, you want to be able to keep them as separate from what you normally would cook in for your regular food, but do what you can do until you can do better. For your gardening witch, for your green witch, you're going to want to have a whole lot of pots for your soil. You'll want to have potting soil. You'll have to decide whether or not you're going to have potted plants or if you're going to plant in the ground, depending on your space. I live in an apartment. We do have a patio. I do not have a window in my kitchen, so all of my herbs and everything that I grow is primarily going to be from my porch, and just house plants around. So again, use what you have until you can do better. Outside of that, I wouldn't focus too much on all of the little things that you may not have, but all the big things you want to focus on. You can always go to the dollar store and get herbs. You can get your basil, you can get your oregano, you can get your salt, you can get your cayenne pepper, you can get your herbs from the dollar store and you can start there. You can get your candles from the dollar store and you can start there. They have a lot of glass jars, they have a lot of containers, they have, glass cups that you can use when you have made some tea and you're using it on your altar for your ancestors or deity or whatever you worship, even if it's just the green man or nature or Gaia, whatever you call Mother Earth. It does not matter. Whatever you call source, whatever you call the universe, does not matter. Just you want to have those essential tools in order for you to get your practice going. And then last but not least, I always recommend having a notebook. You want to eventually turn it into your spell book. So as you're practicing your craft and as you're practicing herbal magic and as you're using different herbs, you want to write down what you're doing so that if it works, you can reproduce it, and if it doesn't work, you can tweak it so you'll know what you did before and then you can tweak it moving forward. You'll also want to invest in some oils. I start with just olive oil, get it straight from the store. It doesn't have to be fancy. If you're comfortable with this, just using regular extra virgin olive oil on your body, then it doesn't have to be organic. But if you want to splurge a little bit and get the organic, go for it. Listen, again, follow your own intuition. Do what you can do until you can do better. Just, if you're interested in this modality, if you're interested in this path, the only thing that I recommend is just getting started and practicing. I mean, you won't know what you don't know until you actually start practicing some things. So get in the kitchen, start preparing meals, start finding recipes, start cooking some different foods, throw your intentions in there, mix it up, and get cooking. That's your kitchen witching. If you are going to be the herbal witch, get your herbs and get in there and start making things and start messing around with different plants and start making infusions and start making tinctures and things like that. Just start getting in there and practicing. And if you're the green witch, get out there, start gardening, start planting things, start communicating with the diva spirits, and start really getting into that green man vibe. It's fun. It's fun once you start practicing, and it's fun once you start getting into it, and so get going. So this has been a quick video from Nicole with Awaken the Magic Within, the Herbal Witch, and I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Take care.